Hello, everyone. How are you? Do you remember your first time? With video games, I mean. Get your mind out of the gutter. My first experience with video games was actually when I was just a wee little lad. Just a wee little guy. It was with this little handheld called the Leap Master L Max. Yeah, it looked like this. I think I used it twice before I completely forgot about it. Yeah, it died. Never cared to boot it back up. It did little to teach you how to spell whatever Elmo was on it, I think. But having many older brothers, I had access to consoles like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and even the GameCube, which I had my first console experience with at this crazy taxi driving game called Smashing Drive. But you essentially played as a transforming taxi cab that you did fast-paced races with, going through obstacles and bulldozing through cities and stuff. It was fun. But fast forward a few years, my dad ended up telling me one summer if I got good grades, he would get me an Xbox 360 because I had been begging for one. And lo and behold, the end of the year comes around, I got good grades, sort of. He got it for me. Xbox 360 Elite, the original one. Yeah, that's right. I didn't have to worry about the red ring of death. Jealous? But what I didn't tell you is that before any of that happened, I remember going to Costco one day with our mom. You know, it was back in the day when instead of putting up like the games up on display, they would have these cardboard card that essentially just had the picture of the cover of each game on there. Even though I didn't have an Xbox and I wasn't even sure if I was getting an Xbox, I saw in the distance this game. I had no idea what it was, purely just fascinated with the cover, a game called Section 8. Again, didn't know anything about it. I just knew I wanted it. I begged. I used my little baby blue eyes to convince her, I guess, and it worked. I got it. You know, she asked all kinds of questions because I didn't even have an Xbox at the time. I was confident that I was getting that Xbox. And you know what? I did. Just so that you have a little insight on what the game is, Section 8 was a action first-person shooter that released in September of 2009. It was developed by Timegate Studios and published by South Peak Games. It was originally released for both Xbox and PC. It got a PlayStation release the following year in March. The game did okay in reception. It currently has a 69 on Metacritic, and as most first-person shooters did at the time, it had both a campaign and multiplayer. Pretty standard stuff. And then when it comes to the story of the game, in a world. But it takes place a couple years in the future. Humanity is depleted of resources, also discovering interstellar travel. They decide to take their livelihood elsewhere. They want to go outside of Earth. They want to go find new worlds, new habitats, new places to live. But like any good action story, there's the bad guy. And they are a disconnected militia group that goes by the Arm of Orion, but commonly in the game is just referred to as ARM. And their objective is to plant bases on all of these newly discovered planets and establish dominance and essentially take over society as they know it. That's where we come in. And purely when I say we, I just mean the players, obviously. Obviously, I'm not saying I'm some kind of soldier. It's a game. But as the player, we play as Alex Cord in the 8th Armored Infantry. Yeah. But nicknamed Section 8. In real life, Section 8 just refers to an act that discharges soldiers, whether it's due to psychological reasons or otherwise. But in the game, they nicknamed the 8th Armored Infantry Section 8 because this mission to go after the arm is considered crazy, almost like a suicide mission. So Alex Cord and the other soldiers that are in the game are essentially the best of the best, and they're volunteering to go after the arm. The reason why I love this game, and probably the reason why most kids like I was when I originally got this game, love this game, is first off, even though the lore is not big and vast like games such as Metal Gear Solid or Halo, where it's really deep and rich in lore, it's established enough and it makes just enough sense to where you're not that confused. Because at the time, I was confused easily. Even though I mentioned that it wasn't a big studio, what's still crazy enough is, first off, the visuals for a game with this kind of budget and with this size studio making the game, it looks great, feels great, and it's extremely immersive for the type of game that they made. Somewhere along the lines of doing research for this game, I came across this thing where when it was originally announced, people kept deeming it a Halo or Crysis killer, but if anything, I don't really see that, and it doesn't feel like that at all. If anything, it feels like those are two older brothers in a family, and Section 8's like the little brother who's just trying to catch up, and he just wants to be cool like his older brothers. But the passion for this game, and it's unfortunate that this game didn't go on as long as it should have. I say that because you can see it in this interview that I came across of some of the developers when they were kind of just summoning up the details of the game before its release. And these guys just seem so incredibly invested in what they're doing. They even started pulling from like real life events, such as how we had soldiers, or still have soldiers, in foreign hostile countries, trying to replicate that same intense feeling to kind of bring a ground in nature to it almost, even though it's this futuristic sci-fi action game. Honestly, the best way to just see what I'm talking about is to just watch this clip.
I can't wait. It's gonna be freaking bad, man. We haven't even thrown in the curveballs yet.
I love this guy. But they go on and about the art direction and their influences, essentially what makes this game great, or at least in their eyes. I believe them. I think it's all very evident that this game had passion behind it, but I'm not going to skip over what's literally the best part of this game, and is probably why it was compared to Crysis and Halo. The suits, the USIF powered assault armor. Man, that's a mouthful. But kind of like what Crysis did in the nano suit, Section 8 with these power armors really wanted to make you feel like these suits were not only futuristic, but were able to pull you into the experience. Some things like implementing some gadgets into the suit, such as this beacon that they show off in the cinematic trailer that like pops out of his arm all cool. And how could I forget? Most games, they have you just sprinting to move a little faster, and when you're done, you're all tired and exhausted going, nah, Section 8, you go into overdrive. You quite literally press the sprint button and it takes you into third person and you are zooming. The game makes you feel like you're the fastest man alive. It's just great. No other games were doing that at the time. Obviously, we had the nano suit was Crysis. And if you don't know what Crysis is, shame on you. Go look it up. And obviously, Halo is probably the most notorious for playing as a super soldier. I just had very fond memories of this game. You know, whenever I'd go to my dad's and be able to play more frequently, or if we had family come over in between sessions of Halo or beating each other up in Mortal Kombat, my nephew and I always sat down and we played Section 8. We played that campaign over and over and over. Granted, it's because we didn't have online and we didn't have luxuries like multiplayer and such at the time, but we made do and we enjoyed the hell out of that game. Just a little over a year later, Section 8 actually had a sequel. What I'm assuming was supposed to be a DLC, but probably got turned into a full-length game. Section 8 Prejudice released in 2011 for Xbox in April, for PC in May, and on PlayStation 3 of that July. The game takes place shortly after the events of the first game, again playing as Alex Cord, but now as a captain of the 8th Armored Infantry. The arm is now back for blood. It doesn't take long after you getting through the training of the game that the arm of Orion comes in and storms your base, and you're thrown right into the action. The game does introduce some new features, such as new suit designs, such as Alex Cord's suit for his captain role, where it's a sleeker, darker black design. The game also introduces new environments throughout some of the missions, such as a snowy plain that implements a white design into Alex's suit. And in those environments, we have bigger maps, so it means more vehicles to choose from. But the game at the time was a digital release only for all platforms. And as a little kid that didn't have access to online and couldn't buy games for myself, I had no way of playing this game. And then years later, when I did start making money for myself and I even had more consoles, I went back to try to play the games. Successfully was able to play the first one, but sadly, Section 8 Prejudice was delisted from all platforms. I have tried to see if there is ways to play it. So far, I've only found a couple websites that have free downloads for it. They look sketchy as all hell. If anyone knows how to play the game safely, please let me know in the comments. But all in all, that was Section 8. I know this wasn't a crazy long video or anything. It's just a game that I've been wanting to talk about, and with some of the videos I have lined up, you're gonna hear me bring it up a lot. So you're gonna be seeing this picture all the time. All the time. I actually have another video being written right now that actually involves this game being part of the listing, part of which involves just ideas on how to bring the game back. A couple years ago, with that franchise I brought up, Crysis, they actually remastered the entirety of the franchise and re-released it alongside a teaser saying that a new 4th game was in development, and I just don't see why a game like Section 8 can't get the same treatment. Get those same guys, maybe a new fancier studio with a pretty decent budget, revitalize the series with some remastered graphics, maybe on a new engine, re-release it for new consoles, and maybe tease a 3rd game, if not a reboot, something. I want to play Section 8 again on my new Xbox, not the 360. But that's that. And like I said before, if you know anything about Section 8 or Section 8 Prejudice, and safe ways to play them these days, please let me know down in the comments because I want to play the game. I have 2 more videos coming up soon, one of which is pretty laid back. It's just me talking about some things like where I want to go with this channel and some other random tidbits. And another one is actually a movie commentary type video, but I'm still trying to figure out some knickknacks and trying to figure out how I'm going to set that video up, because it's probably not going to be here at my workspace. It's going to be at someone else's house. But please let me know down in the comments what you think of this video. Did you play Section 8? Did you play Section 8 Prejudice? I want to know. I want to talk about it. With all that being said, please like, please subscribe. I have a lot of ideas for this channel and I hope it goes far, but I'm going to need all the help I can get from you guys, and doing all of that algorithm stuff definitely helps. And without any further ado, I'm going to go do something. I don't know what that is, but it's like 3 a.m. right now and I gotta start editing this video. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, night, week, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.